All right? Bloody cold. Put my jacket on. Get points if you know who that is. Oh no, Bungle. Why don't we go and play in the garden? Let's move on. Become a warrior teacher. Very close to starting now. Malcolm Clark's at it again. So buy me a coffee, blah. Malcolm Clark is at it again. At Twister Film, Malcolm Clark with his fantastic Substack, which I recommend very highly. Great, great historian here in providing us with a wonderful tweet, which I came across. And I've also got something from somebody called Stroppy Homo on Twitter, which is fantastic. So I'm going to go through this with you. Let's just start. It's not going to be a long one, so don't panic. Here we go. Malcolm Clark, Twister Film, is asking the question, because this has been going on with J.K. Rowling about, you know, him, right? And the naughty Nazis. All I want is peace. Right? What were trans people a key target of the Nazis? Nasties? The Nazis, same thing. Were trans people a key target of the Nazis? Malcolm Clark at Twister Films is positing this question to us. Pink News. Pink News unwittingly confirms today what I've been saying all along, says Malcolm. Trans folks weren't even a blip on the murderous Nazi radar. In its article, Pink News manages to muster the names of just 5 trans victims. Let's analyse them. Right? So, and then he's got a picture of the Pink News article which says, this is the heading. Pink News. Prick News, the persecution of trans people by the Nazis was devastating, and it still echoes down the ages. It's an utter lie. That's Pink News lying through their proverbial teeth, but then we know they do. Who's the other ones that lie? Is it Vice.com with that lovely Ben Hunty? Yeah, he lies too, doesn't he? Here, Ben, still telling untruths? Does he lie? I don't know. You tell me. I could be wrong, and I'm more than happy to be proved so, as you imagine. I've just realised that my right shoulder is lining up perfectly with that picture. That feels weird. Look at it. Look at it. Such a weirdo. Right. Each tells us, Malcolm continues, something about revealing about the LGBTQ fantasy of trans persecution by the Nazis. Take Gerd R. This is a person, a married straight man who liked being sexually humiliated. It's true he was warned about cross-dressing, but it wasn't why he was jailed. Wait till you hear why he was. Gerd R. was arrested. After neighbours grew sick of finding him naked in their communal garbage bins. It's utterly surreal and Pink News. Oh, it's devastating. Arrested under public indecency laws, and Malcolm's got the receipts, by the way, for you to have a look at. Arrested under public indecency laws, he was rescued from a concentration camp by the intervention of his doctor, who pointed out he was heterosexual. It was the gays they were after, see? Nothing to do with trans nonsense. Queer activists like Xavier Nunn, who criticises J.K. Rowling for not taking Nazi oppression of trans seriously, celebrate this exhibitionist. So who is it that represents the horror of the trans genocide by the Nazis? He's over there. Where? I can't see him. Open the lid of the bin. Why is he naked? We don't know. Oi! Get out. What? Come on! What do you think? Go and put some clothes on. Stupid man. Was this guy, this cross-dressing, bin-residing nudist? Bin-residing nudist? Oh, God. Was he a Nazi victim? Gerd killed himself in a mental institution. Pink News can't help themselves. Now I've seen that line, I can't unsee it. Right, so, then there's Gerd Catter, says Malcolm. A supposed trans man. It's true she was sent to a camp, but she too was released and then granted permission to dress as a man. Queer historian Laurie Marhofer admits this shows police at first reacted harshly, but later showed surprising leniency. Surprising leniency, continues Malcolm. The case of Gerd Catter, Marhofer says, demonstrates state accommodation of transness. This doesn't make quite a powerful headline as that of her Smithsonian article, which was Transgender People Targeted by the Nazis. The woeful level of what passes for scholarship among queer academics is underlined by another name cited by Marhofer in the same article, Tony Simon, whom Pink News has now cited too. Marhofer said she didn't know what happened to Simon, but makes it sound ominous. The fact is, while Simon had his transvestite licence revoked, the token licence, or whatever it is, the transvestite licence revoked, he was actually arrested for publicly denouncing the Nazis. They can't help themselves. They have to appropriate because there's no truth to it. And though he spent time in camps, he was released, became a welder, survived the war and lived until 1979. Surprisingly leniency. Probably not. Like Gerd R., who hid in bins, Simon was heterosexual. Are we seeing what it is yet? Pink News and you other related disgusting queer theorists. Simon was heterosexual. That helped. Pink News also cites Fritz Kitzing. He? Fritz was a gay transvestite who was arrested for soliciting. Sent to a camp, he escaped to London, where he was arrested for soliciting. Some people never learn. And he's got a picture of him. Deported to Germany, Fritz was reported for guess what? And sent to a camp after letters were found in which he denounced atrocities. The good news is he was then sent to serve in the German army. I'm sure Fritz hated that. He survived the war. Fritz lived until the 1990s running an antique shop. The thing is, though, he never applied for a transvestite licence. Was he then really a trans victim? Even if he was, his fate is in such marked contrast to the millions who were members of the Nazis' key target groups. 500,000 Romani, 270,000 disabled, 3,500 Spanish Republicans, 80,000 Freemasons, 3.3 million Soviet POWs, 1,700 Jehovah's Witnesses, 10,000 homosexuals, and 6 million Jews. Malcolm's written more. It's a great thread. Please do go and look, and if you can, subscribe to his Substack, because his historical knowledge is just glorious. To make light of this, to use this as a political propaganda tool for a hateful, hard-left, neo-Marxist cult is, in my mind, beyond the pale. But that's just me. I'll leave you to decide what you think, and as usual, you can tell me by writing it in the comments. Link in the doobry to the tweets. Come and be a warrior teacher. And now let's look at what came from Angry Puff, whatever his name was. Okay, so just to add this little bit to Malcolm's thing. It came from an individual called Stroppy Homo. I just called him Angry Puff. Stroppy Homo. Let's have a look at the end. He forgot to do this. He has a German article, which has been a German paragraph, which has been transcribed into English, of Magnus Hirschfeld talking about what we would today call transgenders. Transvestism and the illusion of sexual metamorphosis. This is back from Hirschfeld. This is back during the time of the war. No matter how transvestite men feel like women when dressed in women's clothing, and women feel like men when dressed in men's clothing, they still remain aware that in reality it is not so. To be sure, some do imagine, and if so, then the wish of the originator of the thought, that their skin is softer, their forms rounder, and their movements more gracious than are usual for men, but they know full well and often are depressed by the fact that they do not physically belong to the desired sex they love. If they did consider themselves actually to be women, whether cross-dressed or not, as persons with megalomania think they are, the Messiah or millionaires, or even the Emperor and Pope in one person, then it would be an illusory idea, and the condition would have to be addressed as mental illness, as being insane, as paranoia. Such cases of the illusion of sexual metamorphosis, sexualis, paranoia, also do occur. Essentially, Hirschfeld was no supporter of trans. He knew what they were. Go well. See you later. Things to do.